So, what is going on, guys? This is Ryan here.
And this is other Ryan here.
And ScottGames.com has once again updated with some news I definitely didn't personally see coming.
No, I don't think anyone expected it, in honesty. He has been keeping it a secret for 10 months, which is pretty good for Scott because he really does like to just get his news straight out there.
Absolutely, and as we're saying, guys, Scott Games has of course updated with a brand new image which appears to tease a novel of Five Nights at Freddy's, and it is actually known as Five Nights at Freddy's The Untold Story.
Yeah, this is obviously, he has said that it's going to be adding on to the mythos of Five Nights at Freddy's. So in other words, it's pretty much just going to be adding on to the mystery of the game. So I doubt it's going to actually solve the story, to be honest.
Another aspect actually going off of that too is the fact that he's on about bringing in a human element never seen before within the games, which I personally think is very interesting.
Yeah, although there is a human element in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, you know, the emotions within that game. So I think that the book will, I don't know if it'll be from the perspective of a child, maybe like writing in a diary or something, or like just like a news article or something like that, like a reported journal or something like that.
Absolutely, and that's definitely something I want to cover later in this video also, talking more about that. But before we actually get into the nitty-gritty of this, guys, we just want to talk about a few things that this image is now presenting us, and just really some news for it, because of course we saw this teaser image just plain on its own with Five Nights at Freddy's The Untold Story, but since then a new date has actually been added, which reveals the fact that we are going to be getting this book before Christmas.
Yeah, he thinks it's ready. He's never really done an announcement so close to its release date like this, but obviously he thinks it's good enough to release now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been very quiet about this thing, and none of us really knew that this was happening in the background also, because it's been very quiet. You know, it's just something I definitely didn't see coming, but Scott's actually published on Steam itself that apparently this book has been undergoing work for 10 months now with a professional writer, which is very interesting for me because it means that this book is going to be professionally done, and it's going to have a lot of in-depth to it, the book itself, and it's definitely had some thought process put into it as well.
Yeah, and as we could see from, this is obviously going to be the front cover of the book, what we're looking at, the Five Nights at Freddy's Untold Story, and obviously this is Freddy Fazbear from the first Five Nights at Freddy's, but it looks like it's connecting Five Nights at Freddy's 1 to 4 because of the crimson background with the tree in the background, like the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 title screen.
Absolutely, because this was very unique to that game, and we kind of saw connections also between that in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 in the small mini-games where we'd kind of break out of this house, specifically the Mangle mini-game, ironically with the Mangle being in the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 house. We'd get out of that room, and then we'd be welcomed to a red background, almost like the crimson background we're seeing here, and also in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And I think one more interesting thing is the fact that if the background is there to actually represent Five Nights at Freddy's 4, why are we seeing a Five Nights at Freddy's 1 character? It's almost linking the two together, which may actually reveal the fact that the whole story is linked to Five Nights at Freddy's 4, further backing up the dream theory, which is now being inhibited by a lot of people thanks to a couple of more popular theorists also agreeing with the same idea.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously within that theory it was that Fredbear and Friends is basically a TV show that could have potentially showed this character that we're seeing now, Freddy Fazbear, and Golden Fredbear and all those others as well, so that is possibly why we're seeing him in the realm of Five Nights at Freddy's 4 in the version of Five Nights at Freddy's 1.
Exactly, and another thing which further backs up this concept too is the fact that on the front cover the Freddy Fazbear appears to be alive as such, because we can see the two glowing eyes, definitely showing that this character is awake. But you know, if this whole thing appears to be some kind of dream sequence, which as I say most are now agreeing with, then it would represent that this book may actually be from the perspective of the crying child who is imagining these guys being alive, living. So that might be a little teaser towards who this character, or excuse me, who the book will be based upon.
Yeah, although, you know, we give out our ideas, guys, but we usually come nowhere close to the truth. Like, it's just, it hits you by surprise on how he goes with it. Like, you just don't expect it at all. So all I'm going to say is just prepare yourself to probably get your mind blown.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, guys, so now we've talked about the cover and what it seems to offer. So going off of that, really, we're going to be speaking about what this book may actually be about. I mean, we know there's definitely a human element now entwined within this book, and it's also going to explain more about the mysteries and myths of the actual Five Nights at Freddy's genre. So let's start with thinking about what this book might seek to tell.
There's still a lot of confusion as to, I mean, if the dream theory is correct, there's still a lot of confusion as to who this purple guy is and why this kid sees this person as a killer of sorts. I mean, obviously we see him stuffing a person into a suit, but obviously there's something about that character that this child doesn't find right. So hopefully it expands on the purple guy a bit more, or maybe even the puppet.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing going off of that too, in terms of expanding on the main characters, is also this child we play as in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, because when we actually think about it, we didn't truly know of this child's existence. I mean, we did, but it was confirmed, of course, in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And it was the first game to do this periodic night thing where we play as the same character every single night. But we only know 5 days until the party. So what about prior to that, or maybe even after that? Maybe there'll be a full explanation to really kind of give us a bit more backstory on this child, why he's so upset with the establishment, where the fears came from, why the brothers all bully him, why all of the other kids also bully him. You see, there's still so many questions hovering around, and maybe it's these things which Scott's hinting at with the human element that needs to kind of be spoken about in more detail.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it could be like I said, like a journal, a diary or some kind on the child after he's been bitten, like, or maybe it's from the point of a family member writing about the condition of the child. Maybe it will switch out, like it will start from the kid's point of view, like a diary, then after that it'll be like a journal, a news story, then after that it'll be like a journal showing the progress of the child before he actually dies of that injury.
Absolutely, that'd be very interesting. So then the final thing is what we feel that the book should truly offer towards the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. And you know, guys, after hearing the Steam thing about Scott actually expanding on the myths and also giving the human element, it's really hard to determine if this is going to be a sole book that Scott plans on releasing, because I don't know, man, it seems like he'd have to do a lot of explaining to wrap up everything. He was just going to do it in one book, even though I feel that's how it should be.
That's the thing. He likes to spread his games out into different sections, Five Nights 1, 2, 3, and 4, because it'd be hard putting all of the games into one, obviously, because of the different aspects that you play in, like all the different locations and stuff. But I guess with a story, it kind of skips that process. Like in a story, you can skip through time and back through time without like feeling confused, because it's all explained in great detail, whereas games are very limited to how much they can actually explain.
Absolutely. And I mean, with books as well, it's a more direct way of expressing something, and most people kind of get the same thing, don't they? The fact that it's called the Untold story, I think I'm going to be agreeing with myself, the idea that this is probably going to be speaking about just the child and that's involving the human element, which Scott's mentioning, and kind of just wrapping up this child's perspective, and maybe just giving hints towards all of the different games too. I
mean, it could also explain why this child, like, because obviously in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, there is the newspaper clippings saying that 5 children have gone missing.
Yes.
And it's a very, very vivid imagination of a child to imagine a newspaper and all this. So I don't know, it's like maybe it'll explain that side of it, why he believes that as well. Maybe there was a story in the news that he saw one day before going to this establishment that made him connect it to the establishment. And I don't know, it'll just be interesting to see.
Kind of clearing up all the smaller Easter eggs too, and why we kind of experience them. It'll be definitely fascinating, to say the least.
Yeah.
So there we have it, guys. That was, of course, discussing the newest teaser on scottgames.com and also the Steam post that Scott made in regards to the book. Hopefully, of course, you guys did enjoy this one, and feel free to comment any of your thoughts in relation to this book also in the comment section down below.
And if you guys did enjoy this video, why not leave a like rating down below? And if you're new to our channel, why not subscribe for more videos like this and also some gameplay videos.
So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. We, of course, hope you did enjoy, and we'll, of course, see you on the next one.
Goodbye, guys.
Want to see even more content from us?
Consider liking and subscribing to ensure you'll see all content in the foreseeable future.
And hey, why not check out our past 2 videos?